you about turntables. And then my glamorous assistant Chris, he's got the fun bit. He's going to take us for a spin. The hall that you're standing in hasn't always been the hall of the National Railway Museum. This was once a busy working engine shed built in 1877, and they mainly serviced and repaired locomotives. So it would have looked very different to how it looks today. There was no glass, the roof was much lower, it would have been very dark, very dirty, and very smoky. This turntable is a much later addition, 1954. And when this was installed, it was state-of-the-art. It's the Ferrari of turntables. It's electrically powered, but if the power fails, we do have a backup, and that backup today is Chris doing some hand winding. This turntable is also the largest, one of the largest in the country. It's 70 foot in diameter. And the larger the turntable, the larger the locomotives you can put onto it. So in its heyday, this would have seen Flying Scotsman and Mallard. Why do we need turntables? Well, we don't need turntables so much nowadays because most modern diesels and electrics have got cabs at either end. You don't actually need to turn them. But if you're talking about a steam locomotive, then they're actually quite important. The first reason is storage and ease of access. And this is clearly demonstrated here because tracks radiate out from the turntable. If you keep tracks free, you can bring your locomotive in from the East Coast main line onto the turntable, turn the turntable to the empty track and drive your locomotive onto it. It's very quick and it's very easy. If you don't have this roundhouse formation, then the only other way you can store your locomotives is one behind the other in a long line. And you can bet the one that you would want would be the one right at the very back, and you'd have to move everything else out of the way. The other reason is the way that the locomotive actually faces. Most steam locomotives are as happy going backwards as they are forwards. But there are two components that aren't, the driver and the fireman. If the steam engine is going chimney first, it means the driver and the fireman have got the controls in front of them, they can clearly see the signals, and the cab will offer them some protection from the weather. But if they get to the end of the line, and there's no turntable, they will have to go back out backwards, which means the controls are now behind them. They're on the wrong side of the signals, they've probably got a tender full of coal in the way as well, and they'll have less protection from the cab. So if they can get to the end of the line, turn the locomotive on the turntable, so it's chimney first again, then you've got a happy crew. And that's enough talking for me. So the first thing Chris needs to do is unbolt the turntable from the wall. The second sound we hope to hear is a clunk that we've got some power. Fingers crossed, that's a good sound. Now before we actually move off, if I can ask everyone to just stand clear of the barrier, so we don't have anything overhanging, no arms, legs, coats, bags, children. This was state-of-the-art in 1954, but it doesn't have very good brakes, so we don't want to drag anybody around with us. So we'll do a final check, and then we'll be off. quote. This turntable and engine weigh about 65 tonne, but he's had his porridge this morning. Oh, he says Weetabix. It's making it a bit very easy now. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Chris. That's the end of our